Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's On at Disney Plus with our live Q&A here on What's On Disney Plus's YouTube channel. So a big thank you to everyone that's going to be joining in live. So I can see Bubba Trolling is already in the chat room. If you can hear me, just let me know. So this live Q&A happens every single week, and we ask questions that have come in from our YouTube channel members and also Patreon supporters. They have been able to submit questions in advance, and also YouTube channel members can also use the chat room as well to ask their questions. So we'll be doing this for about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how many questions we've got. Also, you can use the super chat function as well, which obviously you can use. And all of this all helps towards funding the channel, keeping all the lights on and all the bits and pieces. It all helps support and all of that. So we've got lots of great questions. So we can see there I've got Noxwave and So Sooner in here as well. Got lots of great questions and stuff coming up today, so feel free to, as I said, put in your questions live. We'll be kind of jumping in and out of the live ones as well as the pre-done questions and stuff. Also, just put up a question there at the minute. I'm just trying out something new with this new poll system. So I'm just going to see here what we've got here. So I've asked you a question. Do you think cost cutting is going to impact on Disney Plus? 76% of you so far saying yes, 24% of you said no. We're going to do another poll in a little bit. This is a new function that they just added, so I'm going to use that one there. Right, okay, let's jump into it. It's nice to see Caleb, you're back. Almost missed two in a row since I've been running errands. No problems. Like I said, this is going to be the new time. It seems like this one's it's an hour earlier than it was a few months ago. I think I'm going to be sticking with this time. It just seems to work better for me with life, and just with my wife's schedule and stuff. This just seems to work a little bit nicer, and I can go a little bit longer as well, which is always kind of nice to do. All right, let's jump into the questions. So let's start off with the top one. That is the title of the show. Daniel asks, how do you think the hiring freeze, layoffs, and cost cutting is going to affect Disney Plus and Hulu? This was a really good one because so earlier this week we had the quarterly financial results, and Disney kind of had a bit of it was kind of like good news, bad news, but it kind of got a little bit buried on election day. Stock price went down because they didn't like the fact that they were losing money, and the streaming business is losing a lot of money, but their plan is to get it fully sort of profitable by 2024. That's why we're getting the ad price, or the ad tiers coming in, and the price rise and all the rest of it. But I'd love to know your thoughts as well. So get that. If you're in the live chat, let me know as well. So what do I think is going to happen with this? So Bob Chapek, I'm going to bring up the question here. So he said that they're going to be actively evaluating their cost base currently. So this is going to be in place to make sure that Disney Plus is profitable by fiscal 2024, and they want to be more efficient and a more nimble company overall. Part of this is they aren't going to be taking on any. If someone leaves, they're not going to necessarily replace them. They're going to just doing a freeze. There might be some cost cuts in terms of jobs might go. Now, a lot of people kind of pick this up as like people, janitors at the theme parks, or there's people running the theme parks, and it's like it probably might not be affecting the front end customers, or customer service ones. It's probably more likely going to be executives and kind of trying to slim down after they've been doing it for a while with the whole purchase of 20th Century Studios. But I don't necessarily automatically. A lot of people just went straight to they're going to be cutting jobs, at the gates of Disney World and Disneyland. But there's a lot more to the company than just that. There's, they've got lots of divisions and stuff. So they're going to be making costs that way. They're going to be trying to make sure that staff at the Disney aren't traveling around as much. They're going to be trying to cut costs. They want them to be doing Zoom interviews. They don't want to be having them kind of flying all over the place and doing travel, because obviously that is expensive. And they want to get through the next through the next couple of years, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. I mean, if you're watching the news here in the UK, we're looking like we're going to be going into a recession pretty soon, and it's going to be like at least 2 years minimum of a recession. So they're going to be doing a lot of cost cutting. Now, one of the things they did say, they want to be looking at a review of their company's content and marketing spending, working with our content leaders and their teams. While we will not sacrifice quality or the strength of our unrivaled strategy machine, we must ensure our investments are both efficient and come with tangible benefits to both audiences and the company. Right. So what does that mean in terms of, like, what do I think we're going to see? In terms of Disney Plus, and this is where I'm not going to be talking about the parks or anything like that. This is going to have an impact. This is where I think we're going to see. First off, we are going to see a slowdown in the amount of content being released. Like we've seen, like with the Star Wars and the Marvel shows this year, where we've been getting sometimes multiple new originals. I think the days of having Marvel and Star Wars, I think we're going to not see them line up as much. They're going to want to spread them out a little bit. Because in some ways, if you can take a couple of shows, just push them back a few weeks, suddenly you do that to everything, and then you can end up like basically getting 3 to 6 months of content later down the line, maybe in 2024, that they've kind of already pre-done and paid for. So I think we're going to see a little bit more spreading out. I think we're going to see some cheaper content being created, things like the Nutcracker thing coming up or the Snow thing. I think we're going to see maybe a little bit more reality stuff. I think we're going to see more Marvel special presentations in like 2024, 2025, as they maybe don't put as much money into the Disney Plus series. I think we're going to see a little bit less of them. I know we've got a lot scheduled for next year, but I think they might get spread out a little bit more. I think the budgets on those shows might also be slightly trimmed, so we might have less CGI. They might make the scenes have less just special effects in them to make them a little bit cheaper. I also think any show that is underperforming will probably be more likely going to be cancelled, or not only just cancelled, but probably deleted, like they have been doing with a number of, because they've already been starting. We've already been seeing some of the star originals around the world of shows that got cancelled have been pulled off so that they don't have to pay residuals for them, because they have to keep paying people that were in them and created them afterwards. So that's going to be an impact. I think we're going to see content that is not being watched, maybe more so internationally. We've been seeing lots of stuff going already, and I think this is part of this, is trying to cut costs on shows and movies that are costing them money and people aren't watching, and that's why some of them have been taken off. I think this also is going to drastically impact on how much legacy content is put onto Disney Plus. I know a lot of people have been calling for lots of movies and shows and stuff in the vault to open up the vault. I don't think that's going to be happening anywhere near as much in the future because of residuals, but also the cost of bringing them up to standard, getting the soundtrack right, getting the legal rights, getting the sorting out the music, all the rest of it. On content that maybe people don't know as well, picking some random movie from 1970s or the 1980s that people maybe don't know as much. I think that legacy content, I don't think that's going to be a high priority in terms of cost. If it's not already on there, I don't think there's that many more shows from the Disney side of things that they will put on. There might be some stuff from the noughties and stuff that they can put on there. It depends on the cost, but I think we're going to see a little bit less in terms of legacy stuff going in there, so that's definitely going to be an issue. So those are some of the ones that I think we're going to see. I think we're going to see more of the content being shared a little bit more to make some more money. I could quite easily see that some of the National Geographic stuff being put on National Geographic, like you've seen with the Mysterious Benedict Society, with stuff going on Disney Channel, and some of the originals going on to like ABC. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's going to be happening with all of this here. It's definitely going to be interesting to come in. Barbara Trolling says, I think it's because of inflation that's happening around the world due to COVID. I mean, you are pretty much hitting the nail on the head. A lot of this is happening all over the world. It's not just happening in one country. It's happening everywhere due to multiple reasons. A lot of it is costs that came in after COVID, with the cost of getting stuff coming from China has drastically increased in terms of like the price of a shipping unit has gone up. So that's costing more things to come over. There's also China's not producing as much because they're still, Shanghai Disney is closed right now because of problems in the area. So this is still causing problems for Disney, right now. It's not over in terms of the impact that it's having. So that's having a problem with the parks. You're also going to be having problems at the box office, though they've just had one of the biggest movie releases of all time in November. Black Panther has had a phenomenal weekend. Will it hit 1 billion? Will it hit 2 billion? Or is it just going to have a big weekend and then it's going to drop off a little bit? People are not going to cinema as much. People are going to be cutting costs in terms of how many streaming platforms you have. And yeah, so there's going to be lots and lots of issues. Matt says, I think we're going to see one last contract made, Hulu merges with Disney Plus. Well, the thing is, ultimately, they're going to have to do it in 2024 anyway, because either company is going to force it. So they're going to need to spend some money on that. They're probably also going to have to spend some money. I believe they still own like one of the major American football teams still owns a big share of BAMTech that they're supposed to buy out. So there's a lot of stuff coming in on that one there. Knox Waves says, I think Disney Plus will keep raising the price if they keep releasing more contents, like what's happened to Netflix and Apple TV. So obviously we got a price rise coming in a few weeks in the United States. It's going up to $10.99 if you want the premium or the premium tier without ads, or it's going to be staying at the same price monthly but with ads at $7.99. So those are going to be your two options. So if you want to save a bit of money, you can have the ads. There's not going to be so much ads on the preschool stuff. All the other streaming services are putting up their prices. So yeah, so there's going to be a lot of interesting things coming in on this one here. Let's see what else we've got here. Kaylee says, I remember reading that Deadline has to pay off the debt of the 20th Century Fox acquisition. No wonder Deadline said that Disney and Comcast are interested in WWE, but they can't afford to acquire. This is the big problem. I know, like Amazon and Apple and all the rest of it, they're all cutting their budgets. They all don't want to spend any money. They want to get through these next few things before it. So we got a super chat here from Stephen. Thank you so much for your support here. So what's going to be on Christmas Disney Plus? Right, so they haven't announced a full lineup for Christmas just yet. That we'll probably get the US list coming. I'd imagine it might be this week that we get it, because this is normally arrives between like the 15th and the 20th. They've already announced quite a few things coming. So we know we've got the Roderick Rules film coming on the 9th. We're going to have Pentatonics, the Christmas special, on the same day. We're going to get Nightmare at the Museum. It's coming I think that's coming on the 9th. We're also getting, I'm just trying to think what else. Well, we're getting the Adina Menzel, her special's coming. I think that one's on the 2nd of December. We're also getting National Treasure starting on the 14th of December. We're going to be having new episodes of the Santa Claus every week in the run up to Christmas. We're going to have episodes of Willow dropping every Wednesday right through the month as well. As regardless to Christmas, the actual week of Christmas, my gut is saying, my spider sense is thinking that maybe Strange World will be the Disney Plus release, but I think they might not announce that one, obviously, until the movie's been out a couple of weeks. They might hold off on that one there. There's probably going to be a big thing dropping in around Christmas. I don't think it'll be Black Panther 2, because I think that will be making too much money. But yeah, and as Knoxway just says, do you think Strange World will stream on Disney Plus before Christmas like they did with Encanto? I think it's going to drop on Christmas Eve. I think that's going to be what they're doing. They don't seem to be doing as much advertising for the film. It looks a lot of fun, but I think that's what they might do. And then save Black Panther for later on. But thank you very much for that question. So Suna, you have got some questions. Yep, they are in the pile. So they'll be done next. So Kayla says, what are your biggest takeaways from the latest shareholders call? I remember Disney mentioning that linear subs will decline in years to come. So what does that mean for Disney Plus? So this is so generally the call itself was very dull. There was no real information. Disney did manage to pull in some more subscribers, but we didn't really hear of any news. They didn't really announce anything. We don't know of any more countries launching. We know Philippines is this week, so there's nothing like that. No mention really of what's coming up with the ad tier, because that's launching in a few weeks' time. No mention. So it was very, very quiet. I think for Disney Plus, it kind of was what I was. I thought they got more subscribers this quarter than I was expecting, so that's good. It's continuing to grow. So there wasn't anything major coming out of that one. I think what really got me was more the bit afterwards where Bob sent out that memo talking about cost cuts, because I think that's much more of what's going to be happening in the future going forward. But linear is it's basically hemorrhaging customers year after year, and they are not being replaced. And it's not just this is happening on all the platforms. So therefore, Disney is losing more and more income through the cable networks, and they've been a big way of bringing in money, especially on the sports side. This is why ESPN Plus is getting such a boost, and that's going to be their way of kind of keeping stuff over. I think we're going to start seeing more stuff being shared between Disney Plus and the network. I think we're going to see that more and more to offset the costs the linear, for them not having as much money coming in. And if you're making a good show, you might as well make money on both sides. So I definitely think that's how it's going to work. Matt says, what do you think of Disney Plus laying people off? Well, it's not just Disney Plus. It's going to be Disney as a whole. I mean, it's awful. It is absolutely awful for those affected, especially being told a month before Christmas. It's a horrible time to do it. It's a dreadful time just before Christmas to do it. It's horrible. Do I think they need to do this? I don't know. I feel like, if there's any if there's some savings to be made because the person, there's a few people that aren't, but maybe try just moving around. Don't get rid of your talent. You barely filled it back in after COVID, all the rest of it. I mean, especially at the parks. The parks are massively understaffed. They need much more staff there. So it's horrible. It's just horrible. For this. I always kind of, with the business side of thing, I always look at the money side of thing and the business side of thing, and I understand some of the things, but laying people off is always that kind of especially just before Christmas, is horrible, absolutely horrible. On the subject of that, there, Kaylee said, I know that ABC, ESPN, and FX are Disney's most valuable linear channels. I expect Disney XD Freeform will be shut down or being consolidated into. I always think with Disney XD and Freeform, they'd probably just be better off just turning them into Disney Channel +1 or ABC +1 and just kind of do repeats rather than kind of having them have their own. I mean, Disney XD's kind of become that anyway, but Freeform, I just don't see the point of Freeform anymore. I think you're better off bulking out. And also they got that whole Christian show that they put on there as well. So yeah, it's very, very weird in terms of how that show, that whole contract got put together. Right, so Dana says, what do you think that Bob Chapek could have done better to avoid a bad fourth quarter? Do you think he should get fired? Now, I've seen this all over the internet. Chapek is literally everyone blamed him for everything. He is, as far as people are concerned, he is, and I think he's made some real bad mistakes, especially on the PR side. He's not got the charismatic side of him to kind of get across what he wants. When he talks, it can be a bit robotic. He just doesn't have a personality that kind of you can like. And I think that's the thing. Bob Iger was always so much more of a presenter, and Chapek isn't. I do think, and I know it's an unpopular thought, but I do actually think Chapek is probably the right person for leading the company through COVID and a recession. I don't think he's right under normal circumstances. I don't think he's got that creative side in him to kind of push stuff through. He's all about cutting costs and I think during a recession and a pandemic, he's probably the right guy to kind of do that. He's going to get the company through it. I know there's a lot of talk, there's been a lot of cutting at the theme parks, and I know a lot of people are upset about not being able to get in because of the reservation system. And I understand, I get why they're doing it, but I found the reservation system, it was all right if you're on there for a day or two, but if you're there on a 4-week on a 2-week holiday, it's a nightmare. So I totally would like to see the reservation system gone. I also think the thing is with annual passes, it's a kind of catch-22. The theme parks are so packed right now, and all the annual pass people want to get in, they can't get in. It kind of from my point of view, and they're going, well, if they let the annual pass holders in, it's already busy, so it's going to get even busier. So that I can see why they've kind of put them out. And I fully expect that when the tourists stop coming in the same numbers, because they're going to start cutting in their costs and they're not going to be going as much, they'll let the annual pass holders back in. But they need to get back. They need to get the things back, get the janitors. They're so busy right now. They just need more staff at the parks. And I can see why people were annoyed at the theme park side of things, but I do think he's probably the right person for right now to get it through. And that I know it's not popular, but I think money wise, I think he's probably the right said. So I definitely think that's going to be happening. Matt says, I think objectively the biggest problem with Chapek is he seems to think too much about short-term profits rather than looking at the long-term. I think the trouble is he does get the blame for everything. If the toilet roll is out of stock at a toilet, or there's a hole in something, he gets the blame for everything. And he's not going around doing that. He has got a tendency to be a bit of a penny pincher. And I get that where it comes from, and it does sometimes. You don't want to be pinching stuff constantly. There are some things that he's done, that they've done at the theme parks, which I don't think is a good idea. I think like getting you to pay for parking when you're staying at a hotel for 2 weeks. It's like, no, just you should include it. I think there should be more stuff. I know when we were looking at we were looking at some of the benefits of the theme park of the hotel, and it was like there just isn't a lot there anymore, and it's a lot cheaper staying off site. But we're not going to go now because we just feel like we're going to do something else instead. But it's definitely he does. I don't think necessarily it's in the terms of short. The prices of Disney were going to go up anyway. Everything at Disney was going to go up in price. Everywhere you go, the price of everything is going up. Video games, food, drinks, coffee. I mean, like I said, we were, when we were out on holiday last month in Las Vegas, the cost of everything there was insane. It actually made Disneyland look really cheap. So it's everywhere where there's tourists and stuff, the prices are just ridiculous everywhere. And I think Disney are getting a bit of stick that everything is going up. I mean, I know when I do my weekly food shop, you go in there and you'll find like an item. I think there was some like Fanta cans the other day. They'd gone up £2 a box, and so I ended up having Tango instead. But I do think there's a line, and I think he's got to do more to get people back on side. I think bringing back all the entertainment at the theme parks, giving more stuff. He does need to do a lot more. Definitely, he's. But I can kind of see it both ways. But I definitely feel like he's made a ton of mistakes, and penny pinching is, and it's going to be even harder when we're going into a recession. People are really going to be looking to thing. I mean, I know when we've been to the parks and had like Disney dining, it felt so great, and you felt like you were getting money's worth, and it was valuable. The cost going now is just so expensive, and yeah, it has kind of got that thing of he has priced a lot of people out, but it's not. I think that would have happened regardless of whoever was in charge because of inflation. Inflation's just insane. Babatronic says, do you think Zaslav got fired because the Warner Brothers stock price being low before? I don't know if he'll get fired, because I think that's what he's doing, but he's definitely going through, definitely going to be a difficult one. And Katie said, as you once said last year, it's never operating a business during a pandemic, and the emotions tend to run high. Silver lining is fans aren't sending death threats to Chapek like they did to Vince McMahon. No, I do feel like, Chapek is in an awful position in terms of trying to get this company. And unfortunately, magic doesn't pay the bills. It's that thing if they have to do stuff to make money. They definitely need to do more stuff to get people back online. That's definitely going to be something that they need to do. But yeah, it's a real kind of weird one with him. So many people literally, he's just, so many people just hate everything that he stands for. And I can't help but feel like any CEO at this point would have had to done something very similar. Daniel says, should it concern us US subscribers that the price rise is coming next month and nothing is being added to make it worth the extra money? I do think now this whole idea of us getting a big drop load of general entertainment, I think it's not happening. I don't think we're getting. I think just the price is going up and the ad tier is launching. There might be more stuff dropping in, and they might start dropping in more things more regularly to get more money out of you for ads. But I don't think you're getting. We're about 3 weeks away now, and there's no news on it. So if there was there'd be a big marketing campaign kicking in. Maybe it starts this week. I don't know, but I've got a feeling now that we're not, and I think they're just looking at it along the lines of the prices going up. Everything's going up. I mean, Apple's put theirs up. Netflix has put theirs up. Amazon's put theirs up. Everyone's been putting their prices up. Disney just getting in, but because of the ad tier being the same price, they can kind of turn around and go, "Well, you've got the same price if you want it. There it is." I think that's definitely an issue. Definitely an issue. Mammoth says, with the high possibility of Disney Plus in the US not getting its big general entertainment drop on December the 8th, do you think they will continue with small drops until the Hulu issue is sorted? Yeah, I think that seems to be what I think is happening. Interestingly enough, there's a couple of documentaries dropping in December. You've got Retrograde and the Flag Makers, and they're kind of a bit more pushing the boundaries on like war stuff. And I think we are gonna see more stuff, but I think they kind of still got their hands tied. So Suna says, what shows and movies do you think we're going to get on December the 8th in the US if we don't get big general entertainment? I just don't know. I'm really like, I'm not confident now. I'm 50-50. I think you could end up with nothing on that day. I think it could just be a normal day and they put out what they normally do. They might bulk up a few things. I think we might get some holiday specials from the ABC networks and stuff. I mean, it'd be nice if they could put some comedies on there to kind of bulk it out a little bit. But I'm just not feeling like that's going to be what's going to happen. Matt says, with the HBO contract ending with 20th Century, do you think they will be getting more movies on Disney Plus, or will they go to Hulu? I think we'll probably see more stuff dropping in on after. The thing is really with the HBO deal, it's not necessarily the old stuff that's still, because it's not like the contract just ends and it all leaves. Everything's going to have to then expire and then get pulled off. What it does mean that the movies coming out in 2023 and onwards can go to Hulu or Disney Plus. They no longer, so things like See How They Run or was it the new one, Banshees and Empire of Light, they don't need to go to HBO Max. So Hulu's going to get a boost. I personally would like them to go onto Disney Plus, but I think that would be a better option for them to do, to kind of start building out that way. Mammo says, what do you think of Retrograde being the Disney Plus fourth rated movies and first rated R documentary? It's a big move. Getting a war documentary on there is definitely an interesting one of how all this kind of kicks in and stuff. I definitely think that's going to be interesting. Mammoud says, what do you think we'll get on December 8th if we don't get the big drop? I don't think it's going to be a lot. I just don't think we're going to see this big pile of content now. I just feel like it feels like it's lost that. Kelly says, I do expect that there'll be an increased dual release on Disney Plus and Hulu until Comcast sells their Hulu stakes and the contractual obligations finish. Yeah, I think we're probably going to see more dual releases, definitely, to do that. I think that's probably very likely. Like Retrograde is going to be doing that. Ricardo saying, in a bizarre move, Hulu in the US has decided to release the Latin American dub for Bleach, A Thousand Year War, streaming that is not available on Latin America itself, and it also recast dub. Yeah, they've also got the English dub dropping on Fridays. I have reached out for Disney to find out about the UK one. They haven't got back to me, and it's not available yet. I don't know. It's just odd. It's again, and this is exactly what Matt says. I think Disney Plus would be better if they could release things globally at the same time. 100%. 100%. Let's see what else we've got here. So we've got a few more questions on the pre-done questions, and then we're going to be live for the rest of the show. Mamoud says, when will the December list for the US? Usually they drop between about the 15th and the 20th. So Wednesday or Thursday this week probably could be very likely to drop. Probably more going to likely to be, let me think, Wednesday night. Yeah. It's like I'm going out that night, so therefore that's probably going to be the time it will drop, is when I'm out. That's usually how it works. Connor says, do you think Disney should do an anthology series in the style of American Horror Story based on the Twisted Tales books? It could be done as a 15 rated TV, or it'd be FX first Disney Plus show. Yeah, I've not heard of that one, but yeah, something a bit interesting, a bit different, definitely good. So just looking here at the poll, we've got 80 votes in at the minute. 76% of you think that the cost cutting is going to impact on Disney Plus. So there's definitely you agreeing with that one. So I'm going to put out another question here. So since we're going to use this one here, so we had 80 votes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do another poll, and this one's a bit more about the actual content on here. And this one's basically, do you prefer a small single story video or a daily news update? Single story. I'm just doing a little bit of research because I'm gonna have to look at kind of maybe changing up how we're doing this with all this, like the different social media platforms and stuff. And I just want to get Right, so just put that question there. So just let me know. I'm just doing a little bit of feedback, and I thought I'd do it while I'm testing this one out. Right. Okay, so Babak says, do you think the money coming in from ads will make up for the people who unsubscribed from the price hike? Yeah, I think it will. I think not only will the price hike help, But that's the big thing as well. The price hike of $3 means that if somebody goes, they're gonna, like, a couple of people are really gonna offset that. I also think as well the ads, they're gonna bring in more money, and they're basically, Disney are setting this up for the next year with the recession stuff. So they've done their price rise, they've done it, and they might not necessarily put their price up. I think they maybe will do next year, but they might be able to ride this out with the recession and go, oh well, we've not done a price rise. The ad tier. The thing is, with the ad tiers, they can just turn around and say, well, there is an option at the same price, so you've got the choice. It's very tricky with how they're going to do this one. So Suna says, I expect them to be adding sitcoms like Modern Family, Malcolm in the Middle, Fresh Off the Boat, and My Kids. I don't know if you're going to get all of them on December the 8th. One of them would be nice. I think I like Malcolm in the Middle. I think Modern Family's more tricky because of that's also on Peacock. And Fresh Off the Boat would be good. Fresh Off the Boat is definitely see how this goes in. Right, let's see what else here. Ricardo said, there's the news of Lionsgate looking for a buyout or a merger. Do you think Sony could be interested? Honestly, right now, I don't think these mergers are going to go through. I think some of these businesses are going to be drastically devalued, or they're just going to try and nudge through the next few years, because Apple and Amazon aren't looking to spend any money. Netflix is, they've got their money issues. Disney have got their stuff that they've got to pay, and they're now doing. I think the days of mergers and buyouts, I think this is going away for a few years. I don't think we're going to see as many of them. Definitely don't think we're going to be getting so many of them. Babak says, Hulu has add-on paid subscriptions for like HBO and Starz. Do you think Disney Plus might add that as well? No, I don't think they will do. I don't think they're going to want to advertise their competitors. It depends if they're an aggregator in kind of getting out that content. Starz might not exist in a while, and when HBO relaunches, they might not be on Hulu as well. With what they're doing. I wouldn't mind having a ESPN add-on within Disney Plus, but I think that's as simple as it is. You don't want to be doing too much of that. Final question of the pre-done ones, and then we're going to be live for the rest of the show. So continue to keep sending in your questions. Right. So Connor says, once Disney has sorted out the Hulu conundrum, I can't even say that one, could you see Disney Plus adding a fast channels in the style of Pluto TV? No, Planet. That would be so cool if they got the names as Pluto. And like Paramount and Peacock Plus, they could also add local ABC networks and news. The trouble is with this is some of this stuff I feel like they might not be able to do until Hulu is sorted out. I could also, and this is what I think this is probably more likely, Hulu could easily become the fast network for Disney. They might, instead of launching a new one, turn Hulu into one and use that as kind of like their way of, why launch Hulu would be a much better way of doing a fast service. They could drop the price to, obviously to free. With, I don't know if they could get more ads on it, because I know a lot of people complain with Hulu with the amount of ads that are on there. There's a lot. It's got a lot of. James was telling me the other day there's so many ads on Hulu. So I think Hulu is if they're going to do one, rather than embedding it into Disney Plus, because the trouble is with this fast service is it would also maybe be easier for them to launch Hulu as a free service. I think the trouble is if you start including the fast service within Disney Plus, you're kind of devaluing it, and then you're going to get to that confusing point of people going, well, why can't I watch Mandalorian season 2 but I can watch season 1, and a whole host of other questions. So I definitely think that's very interesting. But what do you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this. Right, so we've done all the pre-done questions, so now we're going to be live for the next 10 to 20 minutes or so, depending on how many questions you got. So as soon as you did not answer my other pre-recorded question, let's see where that one is. What shows and movies? Hold on, I'm just going to see. Sometimes what happens with some of these questions is that the spam filter. Sometimes, let me just see if it's been held for review, because I know Dana's got locked away in there for ages. Let's see if I can. So soon, if you just let me know your question. I can see what it is. I can't see it on there. I can only see one question on your pre-done questions, and I've done. So you say, what shows do you think they'll add when the ad tier comes? Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. I don't think we're going to get that big drop of stuff coming in. Oh, I see. I seen that question now, Dana. So that was because it was after we went live. That's why I've not seen it. So so Dana's question was, how many sitcoms do you think they'll add? I don't think they're going to add that. I don't think they're going to add that much. I'm on being honest here. I think this December the 8th is not going to have this big drop of stuff that we thought it was going to be. I just don't think we're going to be seeing this one coming in the same way. I'd love them to do it, and I think even if we got one, if we could get one a week, it would be good. But I just don't see we're going to get all those shows at the same time. And let me just check here for Dana, see where what happened with your question as well. So, oh yeah. So, do you think they will make a special announcement the month before going out regarding general entertainment? I don't know why I've missed those two. That's odd. Yeah. So, do you think they'll make a surprise? I think. I don't know if there's going to be a general. I think there's probably going to be a few things that they just drop in very easily in terms of getting it out there. I'm just feeling now that we're 3 weeks away from the ad tier launching, and if they were going to start a campaign, I don't know. I would have thought they would have started it by now. And then the big problem as well is with the Thanksgiving weekend coming in. They're promoting, obviously this weekend they've been promoting Black Panther. Next week they're going to be pushing Black Panther and Disenchanted, and also the Santa Clauses. Yeah, I just don't know. I feel like I just don't think we're going to get that big amount of stuff. So Steven says, do you think we're going to get some surprises for the general entertainment? It would be nice to. I feel like we could definitely get one or two, but I just don't think we're going to get as bigger ones as we originally did. Kelly said, I say yes to Connor's question about the fast networks will come, but not on Disney Plus, more so on Hulu, since Hulu has fast channels like ABC News Live, NBC News Now, Cheddar News. I know we shouldn't, but I always laugh at Cheddar News and CBS News. I mean, if ultimately it depends if they're going to end up merging the two platforms together, or if they're just going to. I don't know how they're going to do it. It's such a weird conundrum with what they're going to do in the US, because Hulu is worth a lot of money. It's bringing in a lot of money. But it's so much harder running two platforms. They could save a lot of money running one platform in terms of advertising, and also with running them together, they can actually then sort of slow down on the content, because they've got ABC and FX and stuff like that feeding Disney Plus as well. It's like here in the UK, we're getting like 911, Station 19, Grey's Anatomy, Family Guy, all these other shows are bulking out Disney Plus. So on that Wednesday, if there's no Andor, there's another 20 other shows, another 10 other shows there to watch. So it's less impactful. But yeah, so it's definitely a weird one in terms of how all of this is coming together. Let's see if we've got any other live. So Caleb also asks, what are your thoughts on Studio Ghibli working with Disney in regards to the Grogu short? Well, on that, the short itself, it was I didn't really. I mean, when you talk about cost-cutting measures, that would have been a cost-cutting measure, because it's kind of pointless. But I'm more interested in what could happen from this. Are we going to start seeing them working together on some films, some series? And I'd love them to get the access and stuff. I'd love to see them doing that one. Power Trolling says, I think that Comcast will not be buying Warner Brothers because the source was wrong. I don't know. 2 years is a long time. It depends on how valuable the either company is by them. Let's see if we've got any other questions coming in on the live chats. Feel free to keep sending them in. See if we've got any more on here. Just looking. Oh, here we go. So Matt says, are we going to get the weekend family Christmas special on Disney Plus? Well, it's launching in France in mid-December. We got the first series at the same time, so I would imagine we're probably going to get that one on at the same time. So Matt C says, with the announcement that Peacock is adding a live feed of NBC to the service, do you think Disney Plus could do something similar with ABC? I think they should do. But I just rather have the ABC content on there to begin with, and not and leave the live stuff to Hulu at the minute. I would like them. It wouldn't be bad if they just had like a rotating channels for like just random. So you clicked on like Disney Channel or Marvel, and it's just got stuff rotating going around. Let's see what else we've got here. So, Cena, do you think they'll announce stuff? If they don't do it this week, I don't think it's going to happen. Full stop. I just don't see it happening. Matt says, if Comcast can add a live feed to Paramount, then why couldn't Disney do the same by adding ABC to Disney Plus? Only seems fair. It's not necessarily about fair; it's about the contracts. Because all the networks and stuff would have. I think the affiliates probably would have to agree to it. But also, it depends on what the contract is with Hulu, because they might not be able to move it. Matt says, when is Doogie Kamealoha MD season 2 coming out? We've not heard anything on that. I think they have been filming it, but yeah, we've not heard anything on that one. This is the kind of show that I don't think we'll the ratings are going to have to be really good for them to get third seasons for these kind of shows. Kayla says, I do remember Bob Chapek and Nick Khan talked up Hulu in their respective earning calls. However, there's more of an understanding in the assignment of keeping the value relevant. I think the trouble is, especially more so in the US, Hulu is still, that they aren't gonna kind of change. They're not gonna be saying, "Oh, that Hulu's not worth it" and all the rest of it, because they've literally just signed a new deal. By the sounds of it, they've just extended the deal with Hulu to tie them over to when they go out to tender for Raw and SmackDown at the same time. They can turn around and they'll be like, "You get streaming and you get television." I think there's more about mixing the two together to make sure they're more valuable. Matt says, I meant Peacock, not Paramount. It's fine. It's not a problem. Caleb also said, speaking of ABC, Disney only own and operate 8 of the affiliates, so they have to be careful to be adding affiliates live streaming to Disney Plus or Hulu. That is definitely an issue that they've got to work on. I mean, I also could see the issue with that one is it's so tricky. Yeah, it's the advertising. Once the ad tier comes in, it will really open up the door for Disney Plus to be able to do a lot more stuff. Knoxwave says, will Marvel be getting any more documentary shows? I feel like with Marvel now, the documentary system, we seem to have slid into we get one for every show and every movie. I suspect we'll get the Black Panther one at some point. And the fact that Director by Night was longer than the actual Werewolf by Night, I really enjoyed that one. I actually enjoyed the documentary more than it. I think we are going to be likely to see more documentaries on Marvel. I think that's definitely going to be a way that they can kind of boost it out. But it really depends on how those numbers were for 616 and maybe even that launch one, the Hero Project. Because if they didn't do very well, they might decide not to bother and think that the making of is enough. I mean, I'd like them to do a little bit more like dives into the comic book stuff, but it's very geeky. I don't know how much. I would like them to do a little bit more. Definitely, I'd like them to do a bit more stuff on that one. So Suna says, I would really want them to announce more ABC shows this week. I'd love them to. I really would. It kind of feels like, I feel like I've been like bouncing my head on this same problem for 3 years, or sort of, I would say 3 years of like, that would have always been nice. But I think ever since like early last year when Star launched, it was always that kind of thing of like, well, they've done it now. If the rest of the world didn't have it done, I'd be like, okay, we're not getting it. Hulu's just gonna, whatever. But now they're in, like, Disney Plus is in like 106 countries, and about 90 of them have got Star. It's just like, well, why wouldn't they add it? It does feel like that would be something that they would like. I would love them to add some more ABC shows, but I'm just not 100% sure. Matt says, I'm not too hopeful for a large entertainment dump with Disney Plus price hike, because I think with the recent earnings call, that would have been a good place to announce it, and they didn't. Bang on. That's what I thought. That's what I was expecting. They didn't do anything then. There was no mention of putting ESPN Plus in Disney Plus. There was no mention of general entertainment. Yeah, it just felt very, very, very flat. And that's not good. That's definitely not good. Right, so this is your last call for any more questions. Feel free to send them in. You can use either, if you remember, you can send them in on the live chat. You can also use this the super chat function. Let's just look at the poll that I did. Here we go. So let's just open this one up. So we had 38 votes. 34% of you prefer a single story. 66 of you prefer the daily news multiple. Yeah, okay, that's kind of in line with what I was expecting. It's only really because generally the single story stuff seems to sometimes perform a little bit better. So I'm going to be carrying on with the multiple news story, but you might start seeing some shorts start popping up because I can then use them also out on other. I've been uploading the videos onto other platforms like TikTok. If you can follow us there as well. Generally just kind of expanding out and trying not to be one. The whole thing with Twitter this week has kind of definitely been that thing for me of going, right, okay, we need to make sure we're not too reliant on any one particular platform. So that's why I say follow us on whatever platforms you're using. It would be great. So that's cool. Right, so we've got a few more comments here. So Suna says, Matsy, maybe they'll announce some general entrance shows this week. Yeah, I mean, it would be nice if they did it. I mean, we've got it would be a good week to do it, but also they have got it would be a nice way to maybe, if they wanted to boost up the stock price, that could be a good way of doing it, or putting ESPN. But I do wonder if they might hold off on ESPN Plus until after the ad tier and stuff is in. Otherwise, it looks like a double price rise. So that's definitely an issue. Matt says, what do you think that we will get the Marvel shows for Hulu onto Disney? Yeah, because I think we've got like Legion and The Gifted haven't arrived over yet. Cloak and Dagger. So those kind of shows to me I think once they can do, they should definitely add them over. Barbara Trollin says, do you think Warner Brothers Discovery will just go AS? Or just go AS? Just go. Not sure what that means. So if you want to just rewrite that one there. As far as what Warner Brothers Discovery is going to do, they're going to do whatever they need to make money. They are very much in that whole process right now. He is there to get paid. He doesn't care how he does it. They're launching their streaming service. He doesn't seem quite as hot all in on streaming. He still likes linear. He still likes theatrical. And streaming is just part of the puzzle, which is correct. I do think that is right. And I do think some going all in on streaming, I think you have to go in all on streaming, but I think now you need to go in on streaming and linear. We're at a point now where we need both to kind of be the point for a couple of years, maybe. I'm just gonna have a look here. Again, we're back at 68% on the daily news, so that's interesting. That's definitely cool. Right. On that note, guys, thank you so much for your questions. I'll be back live next week. I'm just going to check the calendar. When's Thanksgiving? So Thanksgiving is the week after. So next week will be a normal live Q&A as per usual. And then the following week on the 27th, which is the Black Friday Thanksgiving weekend, what we'll do, that will be that'll be another open live stream for everyone. As I said, this is part of my thing for this. I want to do for a while now of doing one of them a month at least for all subscribers. Also, it's that whole thing as well of with the recession and all the rest of it. I just want to be able to, if you can't, if you just watch the videos and go on the website, that's supporting us. I fully understand, not everyone can support financially, so just watching stuff. So that's why my plan is to do one a month. I'm going to try and do them generally around like a themed holiday kind of thing, as I think that might work. But yeah, so for the Thanksgiving weekend, we will do the one open. So we've got a couple more questions here. Knoxway says, which contents from Marvel from Phase 5 are you most excited for? Thunderbolts is the end of Phase 5, isn't it? So that's the one I'm definitely looking forward to a lot. Having seen a little bit of Quantumania, that's looking good. The Marvels looks really good as well. Obviously, Daredevil Born Again is just like, yes, that looks good. Secret Invasion, more Loki. I don't know about Ironheart. I think actually after Black Panther, I'm probably I'm less excited about that show anymore. Bob Training says, do you think Warner Brothers Discovery will just go Warner Brothers? No, just the people at Discovery, the Discovery brought Warner Brothers, remember, so they'll want the Discovery thing in. Kayla said, is it okay if I ask your thoughts on the Survivor series during the... Yeah, feel free. It's perfectly fine. Yeah, Survivor series, always at Thanksgiving. That's cool. Right, on that note, guys, thank you so much for your support. Thank you to all of our patrons. Thank you to all of our super chats and all the rest of it. Thank you so much for everything, and I shall be back tomorrow with another news video. Thank you very much. Latest.